Hi, it's Jared from Strongroots Farm. Today we have an exciting video. We are in the shop just to stay out of the wind. We have an exciting video though about starting new pastures. So this is a really rare situation for us and for any other people. So there's all kinds of videos out there about how you do it. And you put fertilizer down and you add seed and you till and you do all this, or you can simply unroll hay and it will magically turn into pastures with just cows, just cattle pressure. And so we want to take this new farm that we have and build ourselves a case study. So to give you the situation, we're in Georgetown, Ohio. You can Google it. We're right at the southern tip of Ohio. We're about 10 to 15 minutes from the Ohio River into Kentucky. In fact, when we do business, we tend to go into Kentucky. We're in level 6B, right in the Midwest. We get quite a bit of rain here, but land is very expensive here. So when you watch other people's videos about starting pasture and they can rent land for $40 to $60, that is not the case here. It is $150 to $200 an acre to rent cash crop land here in Ohio. And it makes it very hard to make money with cattle on pasture if you have good crop, big ag land. But amazingly enough, I have secured the farm right next door to me. And so I've got the lease on it from the lady. It will be leased year after year after year. And the reason is it's only a 21 acre farm, but only 6.7 of it is technically tillable. Now there's another 2 acres of pasture in and around things, but the big guys can't get in there. And so it enables us to rent that. Now we're renting it for expensive, that's 6.7 times 150 or whatever it is. But eventually I'm gonna have access to all 21 and it's only gonna cost me for the tillable land. And because of this situation, it allows us to have an amazing case study to show you throughout what we're gonna do. This farm is choppy. It has a lot of woods around it. It's got a big waterway down the middle of it. And it has 3 basic fields that are 2 to 2.5 acres each. They have all been raised in soybean crops, big ag, sprayed chemicals, fertilized, not knocking that, just that's the way it's been raised, right? It's had glyphosate sprayed on it for at least 25 years. So it's gonna take time to clean that up and get that seed bed to come up. And it's very acidic, so it is 5.3 right now in our pH, so we have to repair that. On 2 of the 3 fields on this property, we have access to it from our farm via a gate. And so I can rope it off with temporary fencing, open one of my permanent fence gates, let cattle in there, so it makes good access. The 3rd one, it'll take me longer to get fence built and get into that one, which is, I'll show you, is the very first pasture. I'm gonna call that pasture 1. And I'm gonna do more, my plan is to do more of a big ag style philosophy in the way that we work on pasture 1, because I'm probably gonna have to bale it for a couple years until I can get all the woods cleaned up and make fence and get this farm back in working order. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out and look at these pastures real quick. They all basically look about the same, but I'm gonna show you the pastures, and I wanna have comments from you. What piece of a test study would you like to see done? We can take this and do it in 6 different models. We can have a test, a blanket strip, as far as our control. I'm looking for comments from you to tell me, how should we do it? What's the right way to build a new pasture? So I have a few options, which we'll talk about after we go out and look at them. But I'm thinking, okay, in big ag, I would go in and rip it crossways with a 3-foot ripper, get real deep, till it all, land level it, come in with fertilizer and lime and seed it and get it all done right. Some people say, oh, you can just spread that stuff and let it frost seed in with winter. That may be one option for one section. I've definitely got a Greg Judy style, just to unroll hay and let the cows do the work. Don't seed, no fertilize, no lime, no nothing. It'll come back on its own and heal. We're gonna do that because I'm not sure that will necessarily work here in our situation, but I'm willing to test it. So what this is gonna do, we're gonna go out and look at this, and then you're gonna subscribe. I will put this on a video loop in a project book basically, and we'll see this progression over many years on how these pastures develop, evaluate, test the weights, test the soil, in each different pasture, in each different section of this test. So it really enables us to do something special that's I've never seen done on YouTube. We can have our own test with you watching, with you commenting, telling me what you think we should do. We can do this as a group, as a homesteading, farming, pasturing, grass-fed only beef group. How do we set up new pastures? We're gonna do this and use this farm. I'm gonna pay the rent, and it's gonna be a test farm and test some different things that people say work. But this is pasture 1. So you can see it's just bean stubble, right? Over here, at the farthest point away from my farm, from my buildings, there's a pond that will have to be fixed. It's all sludge. If a cow got in there, it would surely get stuck and die. So we're gonna have to fence that off eventually, but we're gonna get that pond dug out. That's gonna take a lot of time. But you can see this is north, directly behind me now, behind you, I guess, and south is directly behind me. And so this would be a nice place to be able to graze in the summer. But remember, this field for the first year or two is probably gonna have to be baled or bush hogged in some form or fashion, because we're gonna have to get all of this fence cleaned up. Behind me is the road. There's a house. There's no fence along the road. All of the fence along the road has to be fixed. And on the west side of the property, I have to connect from the road to my property with fence, with hard fence. Over here, there is another home that is between us, but there is probably 1.5 to 2 acres of just straight fescue grass that's already there that we could graze, but I can't necessarily get cows here until there's a pretty decent creek, until I put some culverts across. So this is where I was thinking I was gonna do it in a big ag fashion. Rip this with a deep till ripper in a cross section, till it, fertilize it, lime it, get it all land leveled out nice, and seed it like big ag would do. I'll fix this waterway down through here. It needs some grading with a bunch of trees coming out here where the water crosses the road. So I'll put some big stone at the road, and then so to keep stuff from washing out, and then maybe one spot I'll put a culvert with a way to cross that, and try to keep cows out of that. If this was my farm, I would put a fence line down through there so cows didn't walk through that waterway back and forth necessarily. They can go all the way to the fence on each side, but you get the idea. So tell me, what would you do in this pasture, or any of the pastures? What do you want to see us do? So this is pasture 1. Let's go look at pasture 2, and then we'll move on. All right, so this is field number 2. There's probably 2 to 2.25 here in this field. There's lots of woods. There's a trash dump around these trees that I have to clean up. That's really annoying, especially since the garbage dump is only a couple miles away. But I'm gonna bury all that stuff. Whatever I can pull out, I'll burn, clean that up, bring in a bunch of dirt and fill that in, trim the trees up, but have a nice little shade area there. And you can see, I haven't listened to your suggestions yet, but in this area, I'm gonna do what Greg Judy says. This is the Greg Judy test plot. So he says no seed, no lime, no fertilizer, it doesn't matter, just roll out hay, and their manure will make, and the seeds in the hay will make the grass grow and make this better over time. And so I'm gonna try it here. And you know, maybe I sounded negative there, and that's not what I'm sounding. I hope this is all I have to do, is unroll hay, no seeds, no nothing, spend no money, and this will magically turn into pasture over time. So, but that's what we're gonna start to do here. Plus it's winter, and down in here, there is probably 1/10 of an acre, maybe 2/10 of an acre of fescue where they have a waterway. And it's kind of an area where they drive through the woods. So I fenced that off. Might as well let them go ahead and eat it. I let it grow up to about 2.5 feet for the winter. The nice thing about this field here, and as you get dizzy, this is my back of my barn and my feedlot. So now I've added a 5th paddock essentially for winter grazing, with another 2-acre paddock here that I can just simply open this gate, fence it off, and let them out into it. So this is definitely gonna be an interesting test in field 2. And pasture 3 looks about the same. We have a gate from our property onto this. So north is directly this way behind you, south is behind me. The negative with this pasture is we are about 500 feet, maybe 600 feet from water. So I will have to go underneath the ground and trench in a water line to my fence here, and then I can run my hoses to water this pasture here. Pasture 2 will have pretty good access from our barns. We have water pretty close. Pasture 1 has no water. That's another reason we're gonna have to bale it. So for a few years until I can trench water across the creek. Basically, I'm gonna put a culvert in and then trench water lines that we can drain to the other side. That's gonna take time and money. But this is Pasture 3, same basic thing here. And just know that this is probably our second option as far as easy to get water to as we go into this. All right, so that's the situation we have. Now what do we do? So today we're gonna wrap this video up. If you're watching this and it's a couple years old, you should be able to look back at a playlist and see every progression. I will put them in one playlist called Starting New Pastures, and I will keep this up. So if you're a subscriber, and if you're not, please subscribe, you'll be able to follow along. We're gonna start with some of the tilling we're gonna do. We're gonna start with what we do throughout this winter. I'll give you the dates and times, all that stuff as we go along and transform this farm into healthy pasture. And we'll put the cost for each test. We spent this much in this paddock for this test. I need comments. I need you to let me know what we're gonna do, and we'll set this up for everybody to watch and follow along with. Well, thanks for watching. I hope things are going great on your farm or homestead. Follow along with us on this journey. Until next time, we'll see you.